We're going to be having a conversation. We're going to be talking about ways for you guys at home to improve your golf, and we're going to be doing it through the medium of chatting about my game, because trust me, there are enough issues in there to suit every palate.
That's right, Pete. Now, you're already a very
You
good
didn't
player.
have to say that. What you could have said is like, oh no, you're okay. You don't need to worry about it, Pete. You're fine as you are. But no, straight away, I get it.
But as golfers, we're all trying to get better all the time, no matter what level, right?
This is very true, and I'm in desperate need. I need, well, as we said before, I need your hands on my brain.
All right, well, here we go. So when we start with any player, right, we want to know what are their goals, what are their motivation, do they even have a plan for improvement, right? So many golfers say, yeah, I want to get better this season, and they have no plan.
Yeah.
So, you are a good player, and if you look at now the next season for you, what are some of the goals that you have that would be more like outcome based? It could be scoring, could be your handicap index, maybe you want to win a tournament. Is there anything that we can kind of measure that we can put out there?
Yeah, I mean, I managed to achieve one of my kind of biggest goals, I suppose, this year was getting through kind of first stage open qualifying, which has been a massive mental block for literally years. So managed to get through that, really, really happy. So for next year, I'm going to be doing open qualifying, but also doing US Open qualifying.
Great.
So first goals there is to try and get through those, again, first stages, then before we tackle final. There's tournaments back at home that I really want to win, which are multi-day events, which I've always done okay in, and I played quite well this year. Great first rounds, great openings, and then kind of faded away and kind of packed my pants a little bit. So that's kind of a goal tournament-wise. And then finally, I've got some kind of more tour-based invites as well. So I really want to make the cut.
Wonderful.
Through those as well. So I've got some big overarching playing goals, which is good. It's exciting to be able to kind of go for them.
No, and that part, it motivates us, right? We're looking forward to something, and all golfers, hopefully you have something that motivates you, whether it's a club championship or you're playing in your first member guest, or maybe you do have aspirations to play higher at higher levels.
Yeah.
And the next question I have for you is more about performances. In order to achieve those, what parts of your game need to improve? Now, at your level, it might be 0.1 strokes in short game, 0.1 strokes in greens and regulation or something like that. What are some of the priorities for you as it relates to your performance goals?
Purely on a technical basis, my big goal really for next year is approach play and wedges. I'm normally okay around the greens, like getting up and down chipping, but pitching and iron play, I'm not getting myself near enough to the hole to convert as many birdies as I need to.
Got it.
And the stats kind of really show that, and they've shown that for the last few years.
Yeah.
So that is my main kind of performance goal, and I'm going through loads. I'm going through a lot of technical changes to try and make that kind of come to fruition.
Sure.
So, I mean, the lessons and the practice that I'm doing, I'm definitely upping that in a hope that I can change what my stats say.
Right.
And if I can change what my stats say, I'm hoping that will then lead into achieving the goals that I want to.
Definitely. I think most golfers, they generally say, oh, I need to be better at putting or better, but I don't think they have any metrics, right? I know you use stats and you really get an idea of what is the reality.
Yeah,
The reality check.
and it's game changing. It's game changing. It's difficult, I think, with a lot of guys kind of watching this, where keeping stats, you have to be consistent with it, and a lot of people might just like have one chance to play the weekend and they just want to go out and enjoy themselves. You know, their goal might just be to break 100 or break 90 or something like that. But keeping stats makes it so much easier to actually understand where the issues are.
Exactly. And then once you have that plan in place, is that a performance goal might be to, hit 60% of your fairways and you've only been hitting 50%, or greens in regulation, you're going to hit 8 instead of 6. But to your point now is when we have identified, and approach shot is crucial, we know, what are we going to do to improve that? And I look at everything from technique, which we'll talk about, to how somebody practices, to even how somebody makes decisions about club choice and target lines and stuff like that could affect how many greens you hit, right? And so you mentioned technique, and a lot of people are obsessed with they got to change their swing, but what specifically are you changing to bring that dispersion closer?
So, in all, like dispersion wise, I'm actually not too bad. It's strike, actually getting pressure on the ball with my irons.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like technically, I've had a few things within my swing which have been there for a few years really, and I've improved them bits, but then it kind of comes back and it goes away. And like this winter, I'm very much just focused on trying to get it as nailed as possible. And that's where like all my kind of technical practice comes in. And it's like backswing changes and then kind of impact changes.
Got it.
So there's a lot to kind of get through in a short space of time, because as soon as like I think the first comp's the end of Feb. So as soon as it gets to that point, I want to be done with like technique. I want to be focused on the actual.
So in order to change the mechanics, you're going to have to put conscious effort in it. It sounds like you already have a game plan with, again, backswing and downswing. And again, a lot of players out there, they kind of know what they want, but they honestly don't know the cause and effect. And then they really don't know how to make the change. And then to do enough repetitions to make the change, so it is now unconscious when you go play. Is there any key things when you are practicing that is helpful for you and would be helpful for people who are watching out there, how to make those changes? Because you're already a really good player and you're trying to finite, right?
Yeah, I think certainly for me, I'm relatively lucky where I have kind of a studio where I can hit. I've got data, I've got launch monitors, I've got cameras, so I can have real instant feedback as far as like what I'm feeling to what's happening in reality. And you know, people might not have access to the same setup that I do, but pretty much everyone now has a phone. You can get a tripod for a couple of quid. You can get those things set up. And certainly when I was coaching and kind of what I'm doing now in practice, I'm trying really hard not just to kind of hit those, just go and hit balls. Sure. I'm trying to assess the success of the shots to actually show me if I'm performing how I want to.
Exactly.
So when I'm going to practice at the moment, I've got little games that I play on the sim. It's really good because I can just put a course on there, so I can actually simulate a little bit more about, you know, real life situation. And then I can say, well, this feels great. I can check the cameras, it looks great, but then what's the actual result and what's coming out? Correct. And then I can assess and I can kind of reevaluate where I'm at with it. And I'm just trying to make a much more of a conscious effort to do that and not just hit balls, hit balls, hit balls.
So it requires focus, then it requires feedback and then adjustment and then feedback and adjustment, instead of I'm going to, you know, this didn't work, I'm going to try 5 different things. And then at the end of the hour, you haven't achieved anything other than more confusion.
I think feedback for me, feedback is key, and it's also something which is easy to not do when you go to a driving range. Because I think if you manage to carve out the time, and let's say you don't have a lot of time, you know you need to practice to get better to achieve those goals, and you get to the range, I think many golfers feel at that point, well, I'm working and I'm doing what I need to. Whereas in fact, you might go to a range session, spend an hour and a half bashing balls and not really change anything, not improve, and then be confused about when you're on the golf course, why things aren't getting better.
Correct.
So.